Howdy folks, today we've got BleedBlue in his M4 Rev. He's on the map Prokhorovka, and he is platooned with his friend Devil Poop, and they both have Revs, and they're both 2 marked. So this could end up being a good game to teach people how to use the Rev on these open maps. Now, the Rev is really good on open maps because it does have a high velocity gun, and it's got 200 penetration, which in a tier 8 is generally enough, you know, unless you're facing frontally against heavies. It's generally enough. So it's got a good gun and nice alpha, and it's got decent view range. Now the downside is he's up against 3 arties, right? And artillery can penetrate this because it's a tier 5 hull with a huge gun mounted to it. So we'll just have to see what he does. He gets up into a rather aggressive position here, and he's going to just sit here and spot for a while. So in the meantime, maybe we'll talk a little bit about what's going on and why you haven't seen a lot of videos. I've got a construction company, as many of you guys know, and I sold my last company, sold out, and I haven't had employees for a while as our hero does spot a couple of tanks here, including a heavy camping the one line. So that happens when you have 3 arties sometimes. At any rate, my new construction company is getting very busy. I've got a lot of stuff to bid and a lot of stuff to actually complete. And so I live in a small town, and my small town, everybody knows everybody. So people know me and know that I've been in construction for a long time, so I'm starting to get those phone calls. At any rate, looks like BleedBlue here is just going to sit here and I don't want to say camp because he's not camping. He is creating vision for his team. You can see, and there's 2 light tanks on each team. The WZ was spotted on the other side. But this move here, to me, moving up like this, if there's a light tank in any of these bushes, he's going to get spotted. And the trouble with that is that the M4 Rev is pretty slow. So it's possible that BleedBlue is trying to 3 mark. And if he is, I could maybe understand this move a little bit more because he's trying to get the most out of the game. Or maybe he knows something I don't. Who knows? But he does nevertheless get into a very forward position. And his hawk is going to push in like a madman here. So that's really unfortunate for his team. For him, his team, and his light tank. But in the meantime, looks like BleedBlue is able to take out one of the arties. So one of the things, and he looks like he shoots a blind shot. We'll have to see if that went in at the end of the game. But I woke up at 4 this morning. I don't know, I just woke up wide awake, and I'm not normally a 4 o'clock in the morning kind of guy, so I'm a little bit rummy this morning. I apologize about that, but I did want to get a video out. Even though I don't have many videos of myself, I am going to try and make the effort to make videos that you guys send me just because they're easy to make and they don't take that long. Well, they shouldn't take that long. This is the 3rd time I've recorded this video, so, and it's a fairly long one, so strap yourselves in, folks. So one thing that BleedBlue does here is notice he backs away from the bush. Yes, it costs him a shot, but he backs away from the bush that's in front of him, and in doing that, he is creating a situation where he's not going to get spotted from the one line. And he does notice the light tank, and so he bushes up so that he's got bushes all the way around him, right? And he hits a nice shot on that WZ-132, who has decided that he's had enough living. It shows me that there's a lot of room for improvement in light tank play, and I've done it too. I'm not going to say that I have not YOLO'd, but there is improvement for light tank play. And that's why I have the channel, is because I want to teach people how to use different tanks and just give people a different perspective on the game if they want to improve. We all have our own perspectives on the game, and we all have our play style. And it's kind of nice maybe to see someone else's play style that may be working better than yours, or to incorporate into your game, and certain bushes to go to. Like BleedBlue's in a great position right now, and it may look like he's doing nothing, but that is the opposite of what he's doing. He's exerting map control here, where they have basically none, right? They don't have any real map control. They have nothing in the middle, and once the guys get up on top of the hill, it's really, really difficult to break that. Now, his platoon mate could come over here, and that would serve two purposes. One, if they push down, he's not going to get lit. And two, he's going to be able to spot for his team, because there's certain bushes that people go to shoot down off the hill that you can spot those guys just with ease. So that Pantera, it's almost gotta be the Pantera does not spot him, but that light tank almost has to be on this side, right? But one thing is, BleedBlue only takes one shot of damage from that Pantera. It cracks me up when you see guys firing gold rounds in a tier 8 game in a Pantera. The thing's got pretty good pen, and it's got excellent mobility, so you really don't need to fire gold rounds out of it. But nevertheless, grab a sip of coffee as his team is losing the other side. So now the defender has 151 health, and there's really no reason for him to move forward. And BleedBlue notices that and asks him to stop, right? That's a smart move. So I watched, I don't know if you guys watch Ayuksin, but he is a Russian streamer, and that guy, his whole team camped in this one line, in this, from about where BleedBlue's sitting all the way back to the corner in A1. And he showed a game where he knocked down some specific bushes and did some bush work, and he basically won the game for his team. So we noticed that the AC-48 has moved, and so we assume that maybe the Mod 1 is back there. The 53 TP might still be back there, and I think that there's a light tank there just by virtue of him getting spotted. I just don't see that Pantera spotting him. Especially a Pantera that sits in the very back of the map like that. He's actually mobile enough to avoid being hit by Artie. In fact, I've played that tank as a light tank, a pseudo light tank, on many occasions. So BleedBlue gets spotted for that, but he does take out the Mod 1, which is a rather tough target. Now, one thing about this tank is, with his configuration, he's got quite good view range, and he's very likely to outspot the 53 TP or anything else that is back there. And he does get a nice shot into the artillery. One thing that I would mention, Bleed, is I think I would have pulled back so that you didn't get spotted. Just pull back into the bush, and also it would give you the advantage of just showing a hole down. Like, look how far back you are, and you're still spotting him. And so he is unspotted now, so if he'd pulled back like that and fired, he probably wouldn't have taken any damage there. Nevertheless, it's still a fantastic game. He's got about 4K combined already, which in a Rev is a very good game. and possibly some blind shots. Looks like he switched back to standard rounds, which is a good move because with shell velocity, that's the most important thing on a big map like this. I don't use the gold rounds very much because their shell velocity's low, and I'm usually in this tank to try and make some credits. So one place I like to go is this row of bushes right here, because you can push up and kind of watch both sides, and the row is big enough that you're not likely to get spotted. This bush here also is not a bad position because it kind of protects you from the other side. And I can say that because I already know that he's going to spot some guys right there, right? But truth be told, it's always better to use bushes if you can. Nevertheless, he does spot out the 4202. And he's able to get him lit, but I don't know if Artie hit him or not. Doesn't look like they did. So that 4190 has snuck all the way around behind the artillery. And BleedBlue does understand that, and he is moving in to help out his artillery. I may have loaded HE here, and that's exactly what BleedBlue does. I didn't notice that last time. Now, the M4190 is a very dangerous tank to him. If that guy is using HE, he could one-shot BleedBlue here, right? So I think that Bleed is making the right decision in staying on this side, and kind of, he's a little bit, maybe unintentionally, using Artie as bait. And he hits the guy for 500. So that does two things. One, it puts the guy on notice that he's probably dead. And two is that it may actually take, well, it gives a lot of damage and puts the guy down to a one-shot. And it also gives him the advantage of maybe breaking some modules, killing some crew members. It's much more likely when you pen with HE to do that. So good ammo choice. I think the second shot should have been a standard round because he was then a one shot, but nevertheless it worked out. And it's 14-12, and now they're capping, which is probably good because they only have 2 minutes left, as the defender is coming around the side to see if he can find that artillery. That's a brave defender with 150 health. But at any rate, let's see if he gets a shot on this last guy. So a well-played, well-executed game by BleedBlue here. It's a long one, but you kind of need longer games in the Rev because it has... You want to stay unspotted, and oh, that's unfortunate. He does not pick up his top gun. But it's a tank that you definitely want to play on the slower side if you want to have good games. If you're playing up front, unless you're super Unicum level, you're going to get your butt handed to you. At least I do. So I appreciate you sending this in, BleedBlue. Let's go ahead and look at your after action on this. Okay, here we are at the after action. Ace Tanker, congratulations BleedBlue, and Pascucci's medal. And it looks like he ended up with 3,200 damage. So he had a couple of blind shots, it looks like, and his teammate Devil Poop was 4th on the team. So they did a very good job of carrying that game, as well as the shout out to the WZ121 GFT Cellist Winger. He played it well as well, so which you might expect on an open map like that. 13 shots, 11 hits, 10 pens for his 3,200 damage plus 2,100 assists. So that's over 5,000. That's 5,300 combined, if my math is right. Ended up with 50,000 credits and 1,700 experience. So thanks again for sending that in. Send your ace tankers in, or if you're just looking to get better, I would be happy to commentate on your first, second, third class, or even no badge, just to help you get better. That's the whole point of the channel, guys. It's not for me, and I'm not out to make a fortune on this channel. I just want to help other tankers get better. So appreciate you guys watching. We will catch you on the next one. Toaster out.